Here we have three of a kind. They're the bells or hingeback tortoises from Central to Western Africa. Wonderful animals. Not particularly the most common pet of Chelonian, because they're more of a tropical tortoise. They're not ones that tolerate going out in long periods in the garden and are commonly hibernated. But they have some really interesting evolutionary tendencies. These animals have evolved to be slightly more advanced to the common and garden European species. For instance, you'll notice that the shape of these animals are amazing. They've got a very sloped front part of the carapace, which is the top part of the shell, which if my hand was a rock, they'd be able to sort of move and wedge themselves, as you can see, in that rock to protect themselves from predators. They can also fold, hence the name hingeback tortoise. If you see this piece of muscular skin just here, this from here to here, so that's it, just there. This is actually elasticated, and you see that movement. It's only very slight movement, but that's certainly elasticated. With the little bit of pressure that I'm putting, the shell actually moves. Only slightly, but it actually moves. And that gives it protection from predators coming from the rear. When sexing these animals, you'll also notice that the females have got a very small tail. You see the small tail there that's between the carapace and the plastron. The plastron's the bottom part of the shell. You notice that the hinge doesn't follow underneath like some North American species of box turtles, or the English would call them box tortoises. They can't move the bottom parts or the plastron, which is the bottom part of the shell. See, here we have a much more mature, larger female, which is called the plastron. Wonderful plastron. She's a lovely large specimen. Although it looks like, being an ex-pet, some of this marking around the top part of the shell is where people used to use Tipp-Ex or some type of paint to actually identify who these tortoises actually are. And then finally we have the male, which has got a much larger hemipenis. That's two penises fused together. And he's having a bit of a whittle there because I've moved him upside down. It's not good to keep tortoises upside down for any length of time because of the pressure that you put on their lungs, but if it's a very short period, then there's no problem whatsoever. These will be happily maintained here at Shuttleworth College and used as an educational resource, and who knows, we might be lucky enough to get some young, get some eggs and incubate them, which would be absolutely fascinating. You notice that the front part of the tortoise is what we call a beak, and a really natural, healthy looking beak is just like this one here. So it's nicely formed, whereas you'll see on this particular species he's got a little bit of a lump on his beak, the male, and that genuinely is because that's often because of being fed a very soft diet. It's still a healthy diet, but he hasn't worked his beak quite as thoroughly, so we'll have to keep an eye on that for making sure that he's generally a healthy and happy boy. As we can see, the claws are of good condition. You can also see the beauty of the shell of these animals. Wonderfully patterned, and they tend to come out only in the rainy season when they're seen in the wild of Africas. They're an omnivore, so they eat both plant matter and animal matter, but they focus more on plant matter than animal matter, but they need a little bit of animal protein in their diet, which may be carrion and other dead animals. This could be prepared by either cooking it before feeding so it's easier to digest, or it could be prepared by offering it in a form of concentrated prepared diet. Wonderful animals.